What's going on, people? Your boy, man, Mike, coming at you guys with yet another video. All right, so this is a major topic within the NFL Pittsburgh Steelers conversation, and just in the off season. Now we know what T.J. Watt. He was definitely one of those guys you look coming into the draft. He had a lot of things that kind of set him aside: the speed, the athleticism, and he had the weaknesses in regards to his size, obviously. And one of the things that people think, would he be able to hold up, with the physicality of the game? And for the most part, he's done exactly that. I don't think anybody can deny T.J. Watt, what he's done in his career. You see here on the screen, 108 career sacks on, just on his career. So is he a Hall of Famer? And I think that's the thing when you look at Pittsburgh Steelers and you look at T.J. Watt. Is he a product of that system? Is he a product of the obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers legacy and being able to bring and know exactly how to build these edge rushers? The guy can just get at the quarterback. They like the Pittsburgh Steelers just know how to create superstars and star players, and TJ Watt, without a doubt, is that guy. So when you look at the questions at hand, is that what the Pittsburgh Steelers even entertain the idea? Are they quietly entertaining the idea? Because you've heard the rumors. I might not so much rumors, but there are rumors out there that saying, teams are looking to trade for a TJ Watt, and then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers that come out and said that they are not interested in letting him go in any way, shape, or form. And I think, for the most part, I truly believe that they are, at the very least, it could be one of the things at the back. I'm talking about at the back of the bus, at the back of the conversations, that they could be saying to themselves, we're at a certain point with the organization. Can we afford to keep a TJ Watt? And I think that's the thing when you look at where the Pittsburgh Steelers are and just the organization in itself. There's a question. TJ Watt has been playing for quite some time. All right. He's been playing for quite some time. He has a lot of miles on him. And does he have what it takes at this point in time to continue this? And, especially with the money and the revenue going up in the NFL, players are getting paid, especially skilled players. Look, the cornerbacks, these guys are getting dang near $30 million a year. And then you got a guy like T.J. Watt. He's on his second contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he signed a deal not too long ago. And at this particular point, he's making $21 million, okay? $21 million. And he's holding out. He hasn't come to minicamp. He hasn't come to any of the team's functions and whatnot, because he wants to get paid. And when you just look at his sacks total, man, like this guy's had 11 and a half sacks. You go from having 18, 21 sacks on the year. So all the signs when it comes down to TJ Watt is pointing at the fact that he definitely deserves somewhat of a contract. But this is the thing. When you have an organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have won with defense, they've won with pretty much the same blueprint the entire franchise, for the most part, the entire franchise history. This is a defensive team. This is a defensive franchise. They are going to get after the quarterback. They're going to play hard-nosed and gritty defense. This is what they do. So the question is, for the organization standpoint, do I really need TJ Watt? That's the thing. do I really need TJ Watt at this particular point in order to win yet another championship? Because this is not a poverty franchise. It will probably won't look good if the Steelers, in regard to, outside players, outside players that they could quite possibly try to bring in to help, build or rebuild the defense or potentially sign. It may not look good, but at the same time, it's like you gotta look at yourself as a Steelers organization, and then when you look at it from the organization standpoint, like I said before, they've had Joey Porters, the James Harrison of the world, and these guys have been very good. They have a long list of outside linebackers, the Bud Dupree's, a long list of outside linebackers that get them 10 plus sacks on a year. Okay, 10 plus sacks in a year. Everything that they seem to build and they bring in, all these guys on the edge always seem to work out. So the thing is, for me, man, like I gotta look at it from the organization standpoint. Yeah, TJ Watt, at this point, he's put up a tremendous amount of sacks. But you gotta look at one aspect right now as where the organization is right now. You brought in a guy like Aaron Rodgers. He's clearly on his last leg. I think we clearly see that. And you have a head coach that's been with these guys, 17 years or so. Is it time to move on from Mike Tomlin? Yeah, these guys have won championship. Yeah, they've had, for the most part, one of the most impressive streaks in regard to the head coach. Like, this guy just never had a lose. Like, this dude does not lose. Now, they end up, 8-8, 8-9, but for the most part, under his tenure, the Steelers have been consistent. But is consistency good enough not only for the organization, but for the fans? I've said this before. The fans are probably looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers with, like, look, yeah, I'm all good with winning 8 to 9, 10 games a season, but we want championships. We want to look forward to, beating the big teams, the Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens or whatnot. And for the most part, like, you look at these two teams, man, it's like, yeah, they go at it, but at the same time, is it enough for us? I think that's the thing where they are as an organization. And what you're seeing with the TJ Watt contract, this guy's 31, gonna be 32 years old. Do you really want to play TJ Watt for what he's done at this particular time? Because now you're taking a risk. Now, I know this may sound bad to some fans in the league, but Falcons fans, I'm a Falcon fan, for example. Julio Jones is the greatest wide receiver to lace him up for the Atlanta Falcons. And the Atlanta Falcons paid him, $60 million for all his past, what he's done for the organization. They did not take. I'm just saying this. They didn't take in consideration that Julio Jones was 31, 32 at the time. This guy was 32 at the time when they decided to give him $62 million. Is this going to be a wise investment for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And to be honest, this is my particular take. I say no. I'm not giving TJ Watt $30 million for the next 3 years or so. This guy's in his 30s. This has nothing to do with the fact that he hasn't been a consistent player. And if you're the organization that wants to reward players from, having consistency and being a consistent player, if it's not the quarterback, my personal view, I'm not giving it to him. Why? It's a defensive guy. things happen. Well, you could wake up tomorrow with a defensive guy and just say to yourself, like, all right, you could wake up tomorrow and see this guy, he's just not the same player. I don't think it's one of those things. TJ Watt has had his some issues with injuries. Not too bad, but it has been there. So when it all comes down to it, man, you got to take this in consideration when you're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is a lot of these guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, these guys are getting closer. These guys are getting older. These guys are getting, they are closer to 30. Some of these guys are 30. You look at Cameron Hayward. How long is he going to continue? How long can you continue to put these guys? You just brought in another guy, Jalen Ramsey. He's close. Look, he's at 30. Like, these guys are getting older. So how often, how long do you want to play Russian roulette with these older football players? Do you want to start out because you don't have a quarterback to come in? Mason Rudolph has been with the organization for a minute. You don't have a quarterback at the helm that could come in and, lead the franchise in the future. So do you really want for the next 3 years or so pay TJ Watt an excess of $30+ million? And that is the thing that I want you guys to take. My personal take on it, I say no. I say get what you can get from TJ Watt. You've already won championship. You're not a poverty franchise who's, desperate for a championship like the Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers, and all these other teams. You're not desperate for a championship. So for me, with the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm not getting TJ Watt $30+ million a year. I'm starting over, but that's just my take. Let me know what you guys think about this. This has been your boy Mad Mike with yet another NFL take. TJ Watt, the trade talks. Hit that subscribe button if you new to the channel. And that's the bottom line, because Mad Mike said so.